Well, good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to episode 3 of the Dumpster Runners podcast. Over the last few years, there have been a couple guys that have not only been acquaintances in the dumpster spaces of the internet, but have also become good friends for me in real life. And one of those people for me has been Chase. He is the owner of River Region Rentals. I have actually had the privilege of watching Chase go from aspiring entrepreneur to part-time guy on a trailer and then quitting his full-time job, going full-time. So it is always cool to see people's lives before they take the plunge, but I am not here to tell his entire life story. So without further ado, let me introduce him, and he could tell you more. Welcome to the podcast, Chase. If you would please tell us a little bit more about yourself, your business, how long you've been in business, that sort of thing.
Well, appreciate you having me on, Joe. I'm Chase with River Region Rentals, and this is my second year full-time in business. Started the business as a side hustle in 2021 while I was still working full-time. 2022, 2023 was kind of learning what business was. In about spring of 2023, mid-2023 is really when I started considering taking the leap and started engaging with you and several of the other guys in the dumpster space on social media and YouTube and the comment section and the Facebook groups. And then the first opportunity we met was in November of 2024, and I jumped on a plane while I was still working and flew out to the first Lone Star Dumpster Showcase and did a 26, I think, hour turnaround on that. Went to the event, went immediately back to the airport, flew back home, drove 3 hours back, and that really was kind of one of the turning points. The Q&A panel there was great, frame and put in perspective for me what I thought I wanted to do. And then I attended, I think, 3 Tampa Dumpster Runner events since then, getting ready for the next one. Really looking forward to this next one. We've had some private conversations. I've seen some of the things you've posted. I think it's going to be an absolute game changer from what we've done in the past. So I'm really looking forward to bringing my family to this and getting to experience the whole shebang. So first-ish of 2024, and I may have misspoken, said 24 when I meant 23 earlier.
It's okay. I knew what you meant.
Yeah, so a couple years ago.
The first Lone Star was 23, and then you started, you got the
Yep.
Cougar trailer and got cranking in
Yeah, picked
24.
up my Cougar trailer at the Tampa Dumpster Runner event, actually. Had Duran bring it down there. You helped coordinate the logistics on that, picked it up and drove it home, and used that from April to October of 2024 when I was still kind of part-time. And then Hurricane Helene happened. And who could have predicted that 6 months or so after I made the decision to leave my full-time job and get into the business full-time, biggest storm of our lifetime hit my community. And not long after Helene happened is when I made the jump to go from a trailer to a truck. And I've been rocking that and growing the fleet and adding more dumpsters. I've got 4 more that should be here around Halloween. So I'm in it, 10 toes down.
That's awesome. That was really good timing to jump into a truck. If you ever, are a little concerned about making the big leap to the bigger payment, having all the work you could ever ask for is a good time to commit to it, because obviously that definitely helps make a couple truck payments when people are calling you up and nonstop looking for dumpsters. I actually I beat you out for the Lone Star Dumpster Showcase as well, because I didn't do 26-hour turnaround. I did a maybe 12-hour. I think I flew in at 5 in the morning, flew out at 6 at night or 7 at night, something like that. So I am no stranger to in and out for the dumpster events. Always a good time.
And dumpster events. First experience I ever had with In and Out was actually at
Dumpsters in the Desert.
Dumpsters in the Desert. Yeah. They brought out the Peterbilt, the big tractor trailer kitchen. And since then, since my first experience with In and Out at a dumpster event, I have had it at least 2 or 3 more times, and let me tell you, I'm a true believer.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic. They're the skinny fries are hit or miss for me. I don't dislike, but their burgers are fantastic. It's a lot like the Steak and Shake fries. I like a little bit thicker, a little bit beefier.
We had a Steak and Shake right around the corner from my house for the last few years, and it went out of business. They've demolished it, and now they're building a Chick-fil-A there. But we just got a place called Freddy's that gives me an In-N-Out and Steak and Shake vibe kind of together, and they've got the skinny fries, they've got tater tots, cheese curds. Um,
Yeah,
I had it the other day for the first time. It's great.
we've got all the steak and shakes you could ask for. I got like three of them around me right now. My favorite one that's a local pop up more recently was Culver's. So I don't know if you guys have gotten Culver's down here.
Yeah, that's a Jade and Jacobazy thing.
Yeah.
That's a I don't care for Culver's.
Well, get off the podcast. All right. Well, see y'all later. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Yeah. So you said you started in 21. If memory serves me correctly, that is because you were doing trailer rentals prior to the dumpsters. So get into that a little bit. What kind of trailers were you renting and how did that experience work out for you? How'd that relate?
So the whole thing just started with one car hauler, a 20-foot steel deck car hauler, tandem axle. Um, I found a guy on TikTok that my dad showed me. I've never downloaded TikTok. I've never used TikTok, but my dad showed me this guy named Juan Galaviz out of DFW area. And DFW Trailer Rentals is the name of his business. And he started a Facebook community group called the $50 Club. And essentially what he did was is he had his rental agreement, his face sheet, the contract, several documents that he would provide for 50 bucks. And with that, you got the documents, but you also got access to the private group. I think now in today's age, it would be a little bit more appropriate to run that type of group in a school community. So one put out a ton of informational videos and short form content about what type of trailers, how to equip them, liability, insurance, just all of the technical and logistics. I was like, oh, I could try that because a friend of mine, actually my best friend, had a 7x14 14K PJ dump trailer. And he is a senior reactor operator at a nuclear plant. Well, he would rent it out just on the side, just to friends and friends of friends and things like that. And he was making decent money with it, just running the dump trailer. And the way he did it was is he would take it to the job site or to the house, leave it, they'd fill it up like a dumpster, and then he'd haul it off. Well, what he and I quickly realized was he was spending so much time dry cleaning it because the landfill would just make everything absolutely filthy. That there was really no way for me to do that while working a full time job. Now with his rotation, he could handle it because he might work 2 weeks and get 2 weeks off or something like that. So I decided against the dump trailer, even though I really thought that's what I wanted to do, and I did the car hauler. And it was fun. It was a good learning experience. Taught me about business formation and setting up all of the appropriate accounts and social media pages and things like that to start a business. But it wasn't very profitable. And I was only running one trailer in the beginning. The genius that I am, I thought it would be a good idea to have my first child with my wife, enroll in grad school, begin training jujitsu, transfer from a road position to an investigative position at work, and start a side hustle all within the same 2 year period. Brilliant. Really, really good idea. So the business was not profitable. It really just taught me a lot about getting started. But that benefited me because when the time came that I wanted to get into it full time and start purchasing more equipment and stuff like that, check boxes on finance applications and insurance quotes and things like that for time and business. So even though I didn't really have revenue to show, any significant revenue, I was able to check some boxes and it helped move me forward when I decided to go full time. So I started with the one trailer. I think I've got 4 different trailers now. And before Helene happened, I was dead set on buying 5 or 6 Diamond C trailers, and I was just going to get them all forklift stacked, gooseneck F Max 207 on the bottom, go pick them up from the dealer, and drive them all back. And my plan was to do that Q4 of 2024. And I want to say it was September 27th. Today's the 26th. September 27th, Helene happened, and I basically just put the trailers on the back burner. Went full force into the dumpsters because I already had 10 dumpsters with my Cougar trailer. Um, and I mean, it's been a year, and we are still things are somewhat back to normal, but there's still Helene tree work. I was on a tree job yesterday with Zach Llewellyn from Hypertech Solutions. He brought his baby home the day before the storm. His baby's now, I guess he's now one. They're celebrating this weekend. So it's been a year, and there's still people doing tree work. There's still people doing roofing. There's still houses with trees in them. There's still houses and buildings getting demoed. So dumpsters has been my primary focus for the last year.
And that's a beautiful, like, it's scary to take the leap of faith. It's scary to leave the safe career, but a lot of times you don't know what's right around the corner. And had you not done the preparation and made the commitment, you would probably still be comfortable in your job. Like, oh, I could have made more money last year. There was a lot of storm work that had to be done, but it's nice having the safe option. Sometimes you just got to take the leap of faith, know that God
Exactly.
is watching your back, and see where it all goes. Because I
I
think
don't
in
know.
reality, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen a more obvious demonstration of taking the leap of faith, being rewarded for it, and seeing that it's his plan, not your plan.
So to it's happened multiple times throughout my time with Maxco, but the month before the hurricanes last year, I was genuinely in a like, this is really tight. I'm not making like the money that I need to be sole provider. Like we're getting by, but I need to have something that really elevates me. So I had joined a couple networking groups. Like I was really like I need to find what's gonna leapfrog this, what's gonna launch me into the next level. All that timing worked out well where I joined a BNI chapter in May, I joined the hub chapter in August, and it was like within this 3 or 4 month span, I met a lot of people, and then the hurricane hit, and it was like this wall of people that I had just met, come into contact with, started making relationships with, just launched me into orbit during the hurricane because every one of them knew 100 different people that were affected, and I just became like the name in the area that people were referring all the time in the online groups
It's
and stuff
awesome.
like that. So yeah, it worked out really well. It's a long road trying to start a business without having the support of the community behind you, and that has been a big game changer for me. But
Collaboration wins.
for sure. Well, every time, throughout the business, you're going to have ebbs and flows. Some months are going to be fantastic. I joke some months I feel like I'm Elon Musk. The other months I'm just like hoping I can keep the lights on. It's like you want to gain consistency and you get that over time, but realize that just after every valley there will be a peak if you keep pushing. And then just slowly over time your peaks get higher and your valleys get higher too. And then, next thing you know, you're a success. So,
So I have a question. When did you get hooked up with Nick Holmes? When did y'all start networking together? Before, or after?
so yeah, so Nick and Reagan are business partners in a company called The Contractor. They build their primary focus is barn dominiums, but they build a lot of custom homes, but a lot of affordable single family homes. And Reagan is one of the heads of the group called the Hub here. So when I joined the Hub last year, I made the connection with Reagan. We went the whole time through the hurricanes, and I had gotten the idea when I did the collaboration wins dumpster of like, it'd be pretty cool to do this for a company. And I've heard a couple people reference it. John has talked about kind of doing what I did, where it was like, if you have a really good contractor that uses you or a really good roofer that uses you, just show up one day with one of their dumpsters wrapped, like something like that. And I always thought that was a cool idea, but I went and took it a step further where I didn't take on the commitment of their dumpster with their wrap on it. I had them purchase the dumpster and put their wrap on it. So it just put me in the position of a servicing agreement rather than, here's $6,000 of my money tied up into someone else's dumpster. But
So
I
I just
presume,
did the same thing with the electrical union, the apprentice program for the electrical union. We just did the same thing, and that's one of the dumpsters. So I ordered four, but I'm getting six, and one of those dumpsters will be for the electrical union.
yeah, no, that's really cool stuff. So I after the hurricane, I had gotten through all that, and I approached him like, hey, mathematically speaking, just to throw this at you, if you guys are paying to have a dumpster sit there and you're not utilizing it, it's not like constantly getting turned. You're probably paying a day rate. It's sitting there. One month you might turn it three times. The next 3 months you might turn it one time. Why not have your branded dumpster, which Reagan's big on that kind of thing anyway? Why don't you put your brand on it, let me service it, and then I don't care if it sits there for 1 day or 100 days or 1,000 days. You call me when you need it moved, and you'll both save money and have a well-branded asset that now I'm posting it on social media. Now it's constantly going job site to job site, making you guys look better. And we sat down, and I think like 3 minutes into that conversation, he's like, done. I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you Nick's contact. Talk it through with him. He deals with that kind of stuff. Reagan's definitely more of the megaphone and the social media stuff, whereas Nick, like he's a draftsman, so he's more on the admin technical side of the construction end. But he was like, yeah, go talk to Nick, and I sat down with Nick one day. I think I got through like I had a whole paper and like information, and this is what this will cost, and this, and he's like, this is what I pay now, what would I be paying in your scenario? And I was like, well, there's like 13 different things, but reasonably, here to here kind of price point. And he goes, done, I'll cut you a check. And I left I left the shop with a check in hand. Ordered two dumpsters. Evolution was great. They had them out in a week, maybe 2 weeks. And brought it straight from the truck to the wrap shop, got both of them wrapped, went on job sites, and they've been making money ever since. So,
So there's two reasons I asked that. One, what a lot of people don't know is, oh, nice hat, by the way. So what a lot of people might not know is that Nick started off in your network, and even though y'all are nowhere local to me, coincidentally enough, he's now in my network. Not business related, just personal. And I'll give a little bit of the backstory on that because what's over your shoulder is what prompted me to ask that question. So you made that connection with Nick, a month before the storm, and I think myself, you, several other people in our industry are consumers of some of the Alex Hormozy content, whether it's YouTube videos, audiobooks, physical media. Um, but back at the end of June, I had the opportunity to go to acquisition.com headquarters in Vegas and attend a 2 day scaling workshop. And when I told you that I was going, you told me that Nick was going. And Nick and I actually linked up at the workshop, talked quite a bit, exchanged information, have talked several times since then. And I see what's over your shoulder with the $100 million playbook series. If it weren't for you and Nick getting linked up, and then you being a Hormozy bro, him being a Hormozy bro, me being a Hormozy bro, and then us linking up in Vegas, you know. And Nick's a great dude. He's super cool. I really like him. I enjoy talking with him. He's got really great ideas. He runs several businesses he's involved with.
yep. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that what is meant to be in life is what happens, and it's just really interesting to see like the most random of stuff kind of pull all the pieces of the puzzle into the same place. Uh, so I think that's really cool. But yeah, the branded dumpster concept I did with them. I actually have some further plans with that stuff as well. But I like to do a thing and then sit on it for a little while and just see what happens. I did the
Just like a
collab.
pilot program, if you will.
Yeah, well, just there's things that you're never going to think of when you do it the first time, and you got to just see how it plays out and what problems arise, how to improve the process. If I tried to get 100 businesses on board with the first one, it's like I haven't made the mistakes with one person yet to figure out how to do it with the rest. So I took a year before I did the collaboration wins dumpster last October. Just did the second one this month, And so I got to feel out the vibes of that, see how it worked out. One of the pieces of feedback that I would say I picked up on is when I did the collaboration wins dumpster, the very first business on there is Nature Coast Roofing. Um, Not only are they on there, but they have the biggest slot because they attributed more to it. And that is one dumpster, which it doesn't happen often, but I've heard it twice, where someone that does roofing has reached out and specifically been like, I don't want that dumpster on my job site.
That's funny.
So that's like that is one thing you got to think through is what businesses are on there, how does that affect the other businesses. I have made it. I've put my thoughts through. So like one of the things I typically drop 15-yard cans for roofing. That's my favorite size to drop because if it needs more than a 15, there's a good chance it's going to be overweight anyway. I will drop 20s on occasion, but like, so a 15-yard dumpster, I'm probably not going to put roofing companies on. I will try to make it less apparent one company versus the other in the future, that kind of thing. But the newest one, it actually worked out pretty interesting. Two of the three companies, because they actually paid a little bit more to have more exclusive space. Two of the three companies were health and wellness companies. So it's like there's not going to be a job site that any
No conflict of
contractor.
interest.
Yeah, there is a tree company on there. Honestly, I don't do a tremendous amount of tree dumpsters anyway. If it is getting brush, usually it's a homeowner putting brush in it. I don't like honestly like of all industries, the guys that cut down big trees tend to just obliterate dumpsters. Like in my experience, you want to see a beat up trailer or can it, drop it for a tree company.
So
So
think
I,
about this. My location, Augusta, is essentially a city in the middle of a pine forest. Then all of the surrounding community is suburban or rural. So we've just got 70 to 90-foot pine trees as far as the eye can see. And when you actually fly into Augusta, it's like it's all pine canopy. So based on the root systems, I mean we got decimated with pine trees, and I started getting hooked up with some tree guys that were just desperately looking for boxes. And
yeah, you could just sit out front of a dump and just watch the companies that are tree companies with their own dump trailers. They're the ones that all the sides are like crumpled around and everything's dented. And I get it, you're dropping big heavy stuff, typically with a excavator or some kind of grapple system. And it beats the life out of them. So that tends to not be a big problem for me. But it's like one of those things I take into consideration now. And then doing things with the contractor cans, learning like how to price things out appropriately, because now you get into like those cans basically never go back to my yard. It's always either dump and return to the same job site or dump and bring to a new job site. So learning how to price it out to where it's fair for both parties, because there is no like, oh, this job's 30 miles away, so it's 30 times 4 plus the dump. Now it's I could be bringing it to a job that's 30 miles away, dump it, and then bring it to another job that's 30 miles from that, and that could be farther north or east or south, or it's like it could be all over the place. So learning how to do that is important. And then also one of the unique aspects to them is because they are new construction builders. Um, every one of their accounts has a different escrow account. So they don't want to make payment from like one card. They want to make payments from specific bank accounts to allot to the specific jobs. So like
is
that's
that so like
another.
when it comes into the construction loan to the perm loan, so that everything's kind of nice and tidy for them?
I would have, yeah. I mean, I don't know all the finer details. I mean, I'd imagine you could probably use a general account and just make draws and payments to and from. But um, just the way we've worked it out, it's like each individual house has its own bank account, which they cut checks from that house to pay for that dumpster. Um, so it's like that. You get a little more familiar with different industries. That tends to be one where it works out well for what we're doing. And then if your biggest priority is showing the world how big and bad you are, having your own dumpster out front of your job site is like that's a big next step. And the beautiful part is now not having to spend the $250,000 for a truck and cans, plus the insurance, plus the, driver, plus it's like you're saving so much money and you're getting all the benefits from it. It's so well worth it for a lot of different industries. And
Yeah, I never looked at it that way. Not just the financial, the cost savings, but the perception for customers and potential customers and the public generally. That it's like, okay, well, you can have a construction company that also does dumpsters, or you can just have your construction company that has their own dumpsters.
yeah, when people are entrepreneurs in general have shiny object syndrome. It's a very difficult thing to just focus on one thing. Everyone wants to do 100 different things. And the reality is, if you do your own hauling, I don't care if you're a roofing company or a construction company, flooring, doesn't matter. If you do your own hauling, you have a separate business. Whether you do or don't separate the entities is up to you, but legally speaking, you should separate. And then logistically speaking, it's just a completely different industry. You're now doing
Yeah.
a different thing.
Something that I don't think that some contractors um, and various other adjacent industries to our industry understand or realize until you really frame it to them is that, okay, yes, you can have a dump trailer and two guys that leave the job site, run the dump trailer to the dump, come back and save money on dump fees because you're not renting a box, paying for disposal, and things like that. But when you think about the labor cost, the time that those laborers are off the job, the potential, we all know if you're pulling a trailer into a dump, you are getting nails in your tires regardless. Just ran into a local roofer at Discount Tire the other day. I went in to buy 12 trailer tires and he was getting some. And he mentioned to the salesman that he's always buying trailer tires. And I was like, huh, me too. But have you considered renting boxes and not having to worry about your trailer tires? And he was like, as a matter of fact, I have. So we've been in communication since then. Uh, but yeah, so you've got guys off the job, so you're losing productivity on the job. You've got guys driving back and forth, sitting in line, scaling in, scaling out, paying. And it's like, okay, it seems like a cost saving, but let's zoom out and look at the big picture. And is it really?
Well, and then you also have to take into consideration, like, is that driver 100% focused, or is he lollygagging, stopping at the gas station, dragging feet? Is there potential for an accident, whether that's just strictly damage or now the liability of getting sued? It's like there is so much big picture stuff that comes into the equation. And the funniest part is when I see a company like, we have a roofing company here that will actually have, they run like F-750s with dump bodies on them for their roofing crew. So they'll have a whole roofing crew inside the cab of the truck when they pull into the dump. And maybe those guys are getting paid by the day. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of their business, but assuming those guys are either getting paid by the hour or are their happiness is adjusted based on how many hours they are or aren't working, that kind of thing. Um, if you're paying for 3, 4 guys that 15 to
Play on
twenty
their phone.
five dollars an hour, while they're going to the dump, each time you go to the dumps, at least an hour, if not 2 hours, depending on how
Easy.
far you're driving, how long the line is, how long it takes you to dump. You figure, let's say 3 guys times 2 hours at $20 an hour. It's $120 right there of just strictly guys sitting in a truck doing nothing. It's
Well,
like that's
heaven forbid the crews that are just running material in the bed of a pickup truck or on a flat trailer, a utility trailer, or a trailer with, built up wooden sidewalls and they're hand unloading. You don't know how many, I'm sure you do. How often have you seen guys unloading shingles out of the bed of a truck or on a trailer or heaven forbid a U-Haul and they're hand unloading? They've got no way to dump it. And
I've
then
not seen it at a U-Haul. That would be
yeah, I've seen.
I'm sure it happens, but I can't imagine taking shingle off of a roof to even load into a U-Haul.
I'll send you a picture I took at the landfill yesterday of three U-Hauls
That's
in the
just funny.
landfill side by side next to each other. But back to dump trailers. Okay, so they do have a dump trailer, but how many of those guys are running battery off their truck to really keep up with the rate? I have seen trucks with hoods popped, with the battery taken out of the truck,
Oh
put
yeah.
on the trailer. I've seen truck and trailer disconnected, truck turned around nose to nose with the trailer, hooked up with jumper cables. Um,
I've
every
seen that
dump
more times
box
than I
on the
can count.
yard. I've seen dump trailers stuck up, just propped over to the side, waiting for help to come, waiting for the boss to come, waiting for a buddy to come.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, all of these headaches, there's better solutions.
For sure. Well, I saw another one, unrelated to roofing. From what I could gather, the guy owns a concrete company nearby. But there was one I got tagged in yesterday, like, hey, can you help him? The dump trailer scissor hoist, the internal, I guess the internal would be the piston. I'm not sure. The inside the ram was bent in a U shape from the weight of the dump body crushing the scissor hoist. So the guy had effectively, I don't know if you could call it totaled, but those things cost probably a couple grand to buy and then get installed. Um, all in an attempt to save on having someone else do his hauling for him. And that's another one where it's like, I do this for a living. I know what to put and what not to put. And when you're a part time hauler, you don't know how much concrete to throw in there. You know, it's like that just cost you a lot of money. Could plus the
Yeah,
time.
about.
So
So I'll put our audience on three pieces of game, being that I come from the trailer rental industry before dumpsters, that may help them, and even adjacent industries. If you are running dump trailers, if dump trailers are your segue into dumpsters, or if you do a mix of both, because we both know people that do both, three pieces of game that I would put everybody on. As a standard general rule of thumb, this is not always the case, but a telescopic dump is typically a better
it's
system than a
king.
scissor lift. Two, you want hydraulic up and down. Do not cheap out on a gravity down pump, because what'll happen is when you lift your load and it doesn't all slide out, and for, let's say you're spreading gravel, sand, or even just dumping a sticky load that's not wanting to slide out, if at any point you try to lower that dump bed back down and it still has weight in it, you're going to blow seals, you're going to lose all your fluid, and you're going to be repairing that. And three, if you're using your dump trailer and actually dumping probably more than two loads a day, I would probably say is safe to say, get you some Anderson connectors, plug it in so that when that truck's running, it is charging your 27 DC or 29 DC on your trailer, so that you don't end up with a slow dump and end up with the jump pack and all the other things we talked about.
And also, don't cheap out on the cable for the Anderson plug. You will find if you buy them off Amazon, most of them are copper wrapped aluminum, and that is high probability of causing a fire. So make sure
So
you get full copper wire. The
100% annealed, oxygen free copper only.
Yeah. The best place that I have found so far, and I haven't done a ton of research into this, but I have done enough to know where to get them. Trash Cat Hoists, which is up in, I believe, Pennsylvania is where they're located out of.
Vendor that I'm familiar with because of
Yeah. So
the
Zach
dumpster
Fields,
hunter
good
network.
guy. Their actually primary business model is building hoists for 47-inch rail trucks. So you guys with the Texas Pride and the U-Dump rail systems, they build the hoist systems to put on a truck if you want to graduate from trailer to truck and maintain those rails. Zach's a great guy. Product's fantastic. I am a standard rail guy myself, so I will not be buying a hoist anytime soon. But that is one way to support them, even if you're doing something outside of the 47-inch rails. Buy your copper wire from them. They already come pre-Anderson plugged, ready to go. Just run it from the truck
Nice.
battery to the dump
That way
trailer.
you're not soldering or crimping or anything like that, because that is something you're going to deal with.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean you're gonna spend a tremendous amount of money just buying copper wire, regardless. You might as well buy it fully assembled.
Copper ain't cheap. And like you said, on
Copper
Amazon,
ain't cheap.
you'll see, I think Ranch Hand sells one. I think there's several like Energizer, Duralast brand ones. And when you see that CCA, copper clad aluminum, run, it's got, I don't know exactly, I mean, I am a nerd, but I don't know the exact difference in um, the resistance. But yeah, that's a great way to have a vehicle fire, especially if you're running that from your engine bay to the back of your truck. Great way to burn up a truck, burn up a trailer. It just draws so much amperage. And you need to do a little math and a little homework and figure out, okay, I'm going this far. I've got this gauge wire. I'm drawing this much amperage. Like there's a little bit of calculation. It's now, don't get me wrong, 2 aught, number two gauge, like that's about where most people wind up. But depending on how long you're going and how much amperage you're drawing, like you might want to do a little math and a little homework before you just buy a kit and throw it on there.
Sure. Yeah, the I believe the one that Zach sells, I want to say a 0 gauge, but I could be wrong. It might be a 2 gauge, something along those lines. But nice and thick, gives plenty of wire for it to flow through. Life is good. So yeah, definitely, and especially like the dump trailers for sure. The roll off guys, if you're running a fully electric system, definitely 1000% get one of those.
It's a mistake I made.
Yeah, I don't really need it because I am running a gas system, so I just got to make sure my batteries stay charged up. But the gas motor, as long as I can crank it up, and honestly, even if my battery dies, I got a pull start. So life is good there. But yeah,
That was one thing I was happy about with my Cougar trailer is that Duran actually included the lead in the toolbox. I want to say it was like 19 foot of lead. Um, so there was two industrial grade Continental deep cycle batteries in the toolbox to operate the hydraulics, and I opted for the hydraulic jacks as well. So hydraulic jacks, electric tarp, electric winch, um, and solar and trickle. That is extra. That's additional. That's backup. That's I use it occasionally. It's sitting on the yard and it's getting plenty of sun. But when you're running it all day, you got to have supplemental power. And or at night being plugged into shore power with an onboard charger. That does get a little tricky, but having a pony motor on board definitely is a big step up.
yeah. I have found that I have to charge occasionally. But even if I don't charge, like I said, I can pull start it. But I've maybe plugged in 2-3 times in the last year. So for the most part, the gas system pretty low maintenance. I do have a solar panel, helps keep it topped off.
Yep.
So
It's
if
just
you're
maintenance. The solar panel, it's maintenance. It's keeping stuff topped off. It's keeping them at, 13.6 or so. Um, but don't expect it to be your primary source of power.
for sure. So you ran the trailer from give or take April to October. No, maybe a little after. It was probably November
November, yeah.
before you got the truck back.
Which
Yeah,
tell
say
everybody where I picked up the truck as well.
so. Chase, if you're a truck upfitter, Chase will be in Tampa in March. Where 2 out of the last 2 events,
Take it
Chase
home.
has taken a piece of equipment home. So, I'm just saying, if you're watching this, maybe have something ready to go. He's got an itchy finger on his credit card. He wants
No, to be fair though, to be fair, you helped coordinate the logistics on both of those.
I did.
As far as at each of the events we've had more often than not multiple vendors from each class of equipment or industry. So we've had multiple trailer vendors, we've had multiple truck and upfitters, we've had multiple people from just several different things. So when I decided on the Cougar trailer, you helped coordinate the logistics on that. So Dern brought it with him, kind of used it as a demo, which he also had some units in Texas at the Lone Star, the first Lone Star. And that's really kind of what sold me. I'd already spoken to him, and then I saw him in person, put my hands on him, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think that's the way I want to go. So arranged the purchase, you arranged the logistics, he brought it, I swapped out, hooked it up, took it home. And then when I purchased the truck, Rubel was also a vendor planning to bring a truck down, and you asked them, hey, why don't y'all bring both? And I had them stop by MacCorp and pick up the flatbed, and they brought it down, and then they actually
No,
I drove the trailer.
They drove that truck back up to Georgia, and
And they drove it back up for me, dropped
Yeah.
it off, and when I got home, well, it was actually near Atlanta, but still, I drove back up and left my truck and trailer, drove the truck home, and then came back the next day and got it.
Yeah, I am very confident that we will have all of the previously mentioned vendors back. I know Cougar's planning on coming out. I know Rubel's planning on coming out. And then Mac actually just committed yesterday, so they're definitely coming out. So yeah, I quality trucks already hit me back. So we're gonna
Awesome.
have a lot of really heavy hitters in the space. I am pretty pumped for people to see what we have in store.
I'll say
So
this to any vendors watching. I think I'm going to fly this time. I think I don't know. I'm either going to fly or we're going to bring the
he
family
will bring his
solution.
driver's license though. So
I'm already thinking, okay, so if I'm kind of ordering dumpsters like quarterly now, okay, so if I've got to order dumpsters coming in for Q4, March is Q1, maybe I'll get a Raider to bring
it
some
is
cans
it is
down.
time. Yeah. Well, I know Raider will probably put a dumpster on the back of at least one, if not both, of their trucks between Quality and Ruble, because the both of them purchased from Mac. And you know, if they happen to leave two of them here, and they both happen to be in your colors, wouldn't be a terrible way to get a couple cans down south. So yeah, we're gonna do a lot more focus on the indoor side this next event, which I'm really pumped up about. I've got a lot of really cool things coming down the pipeline, and we are putting a big emphasis on both having cool equipment for people to check out, but also to get into a lot more of the educational side of things. So we're gonna
That's one
have
of my greatest takeaways, honestly. It's the Q&A panels, like I mentioned. This the round tables we've done. I'm really looking forward to our breakout sessions on this one, because you're really able to pick up some inside baseball, if you will, from guys that have been doing it. And, people from different areas and stuff like that, and have different backgrounds, different industries. So that's what I'm looking forward to most this
Yeah,
year.
the two things that I get every time I do it and when I get feedback from people after is they want to learn and they want to network. And sometimes learning means going and seeing physical equipment, but a lot of times it's I want to sit down and just hear what somebody has to say about this topic or that topic. And now that we're getting a lot more traction on the support side from vendors and bigger businesses, having them sit down and be like, all right, I'm going to give you a 45-minute slot. I want you to, whether it's, finances, insurance, truck upfits, that kind of thing. I want you to just lay out the foundation of this piece of knowledge. So we're gonna have probably 12 breakout sessions in total, which is a lot of options to choose from. You're gonna get some, you're gonna miss some, just the reality of how that all works out.
Scheduling.
But yeah, I mean, already right now, I've got Trade Up Marketing is going to do a presentation on marketing. Docket's going to do, I'm not sure what Docket's plan is yet. We got to dial in, but something around either the online space not related to Docket or, some version of the software side of things. We'll have Keystone is going to do an actual like presentation, not in the parking lot. They might do one in the parking lot too, but an actual like PowerPoint slideshow, that kind of thing. Rolly
I
skates
saw a
already
Keystone
asked one.
I saw a Keystone dual rail system 2 days ago. I
Yep.
thought it was a trash
In
can.
person?
Looking at it, yeah, in person at the landfill
Nice.
or transfer station. One of our local guys went from a 47-inch system, and they recently got a truck. And I was looking at it as I was driving by. I said, "Is that a trash can?" He was having an equipment issue. I mean, it was no fault of the. He was just dealing with problems that we deal with. So I stopped and I gave him my pry bar and my 4 pound hammer, and I walked all the way around the truck and saw that it was a Keystone. I was like, "Oh, that's the first one I've seen in the wild
Yeah, that's cool.
events."
Yeah, I know. I actually just saw my buddy Gabe with Early Bird Dumpster. He bought the dual rail Evolution trailer down
Nice.
here. He had asked me to pick up a can for him, so he met me at my yard to pick up his full can from my yard. But it's really cool, seeing all the unique aspects of the industry really like coming to a head. And not that I get to take credit for anything, but it's like being on the tip of the spear when it comes to what a lot of these companies are doing and being at the forefront of. I know specifically I can speak to Evolution in a major way where it's like they'll ask me like, hey, what are the problems you're having? What are you seeing in the industry? What can guys, really get a benefit from? And then giving them a couple directions to go, watching them take the ball and turn it into their own thing and innovate for the
Fine.
industry. I know Keystone has been big on that. You have companies like Mac where it's, even something as simple as a dumpster where it's like how much innovation can you really put into a dumpster? They are constantly getting feedback. I know when we were up in Indy last year, Raider was walking around the cans with me, and he's like, "Yeah, Chase got a bunch of cans from us, and he had mentioned that the bottom of the pins were a little difficult, So we went and bought a beveling machine, and now we bevel the ends, so they slide in there a little bit easier." And I talked to John last week, and I don't know if you've seen the new cans he had ordered, but he's got the behemoth can. I don't even know what better way to describe it, but he was just going down the list of like, here's all the unique aspects of this can, and even the most simple one where they got square bodies rather than tub style. So the bottom rail, not the top rail, but the bottom rail of a square body can, John's like, yeah, they tend to be really like dust collectors. They just naturally from loading a lot of stuff sits on that edge and it just looks like crap, and I didn't want that. So they took like a piece of sheet metal, put a curve to it, and now at the bottom, if anything slides down the wall, it doesn't have a ledge to sit on. It slides down this slope at the bottom of the can.
Yeah.
And it's just like stuff. Now I could be totally off base. Maybe someone's been doing that for 70 years and I'm just new to the party. But this is the kind of stuff that networking and kind of building out your community really teaches you, is all the little nuance pieces that you just, you might eventually come to that conclusion, but having someone to relay that information and speed up the process just, it's what makes this stuff really, the wheels turn, and is awesome. So,
So there's two things I want to respond to there. One is the innovation and the refining of the equipment and the nuance and the details of the equipment. The second is the networking. So we've mentioned a lot of vendors here, a lot of trailer manufacturers, a lot of dumpster manufacturers, a lot of truck upfitters. I've never purchased a dumpster from EWF, but if I text Junior right now, he'll respond immediately. I've never bought a truck from Marlin Fox, but if I text him right now, he would respond immediately. Marlin has texted me at 10 p.m., 7 a.m. So the cool thing about these events is every single piece of my business, from my website to my truck to my trailer to my cans to my insurance to my finance, every aspect of my business, because of these events that I've been attending and going to, and I haven't made all of them. There's been a couple that I've missed. But doing these events for the last couple of years, I have met in person and formed personal relationships with my vendors who I'm purchasing products and services from all of those. So by going to these events, you get to meet, the owners of the companies. You get to meet the employees. You get to meet their families.
yep.
I mean, I can't say how many
On
of
a
these guys. What?
No, I didn't mean to cut you off, but on a side note, which is just like, it really speaks both to the vibe of the business, but also the very Cuban side of evolution, which is even more funny.
Yeah.
I sent him the packet the other day, and Junior's like, so, because I in my packet I have, this package includes this many vendor tickets because we're trying to keep like, how much food I got to buy and this, that, and the other. So anything beyond that, you got to buy more vendor tickets to bring more people. Evolution has been
Junior
known.
brings like 20 people.
He's been known to show up with like every cousin and aunt, and
Uh-huh.
it's probably
All the
only like,
kids.
it's probably like 5% of his family. I'm sure it's way bigger, but they come with a party bus worth of people to the event, and it's like, you
It's a great time.
genuinely, you might meet his mom. It's
Yeah,
like,
no, for
you'll
sure.
meet his wife, you'll meet his kids, you'll get to know.
I've met several of his cousins. I've met his kids, his wife, his dad, I think. Um, and like so even some of these other companies, Keystone, we mentioned. I've got Bram and Don's number both saved in my phone. I've got Marlin. I've got, and excluding the people that I buy my products from, because obviously I communicate with these people. But even all of these other people, like I know their wives, I know their kids. I know, oh, so and so's getting married or just had their first kid or whatever. So and so's kid just went off to college. And by being able to meet these people in person, shake their hand, look them in the eye, and have a real conversation with them and get to know them, one, it really increases your confidence in your decision making with who you go with or what decisions you make. But two, circling back to the innovation and the revision, dude, every single one of these vendors, equipment vendors that I've seen going back maybe 3 years now, I have seen the evolution of their products, the little things they've changed. Keystone found that if we do it this way, it's a little bit better. Evolution found, hey, we do this because of this reason. The Gen 1 trailer versus I guess, I don't even know what Gen we're on now, but some of the more recent trailers. Um, Dude, I got my Cougar trailer, went to talked to Duran about some of the things. There's like, oh, did you see, this brand, not even a dumpster trailer, just Belmont trailers or Max D or whoever. You see, they do this way. Have you considered that? And then go to dumpsters in the desert, and the trailers they've got there are way better than mine. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
now I need to buy another one.
well, and that's honestly like the really cool aspect is there's companies, a lot of companies actually that I've listed where I've seen what they do, so I know the quality of it, but I've never purchased anything from them, and we still have a lot of love and respect for each other. And a lot of it just like, at the end of the day, I really like Evolution. I really like working with them, but logistically speaking, them being 4 hours away puts them a little higher on the totem pole of convenience for me. So naturally, geographically, like they're a better fit for me and my business.
I've seen them refine their latch system. I love their shark fin pin, is what I call it, the alignment pin. Um, and again, never bought an Evolution dumpster in my life. Love the guys, love the crew, love the family, love the products. I think that's a big trend. Maybe that's just us. Maybe it's because we're extroverts.
I,
But
I wouldn't
definitely,
consider myself an extrovert, which is the funny irony of what I do.
you play one on TV.
I play I play one on you could sit me in a tree stand in the middle of the woods for the next 10 years and I'd be a happy man. But no, I just naturally I understand the reality of life and the world that we live in. It's better to be out in front of people than off reclused. So I do it. But yeah, and what I was kind of getting at before is it's like I have no problem at all referring someone to a MacCore or to a Keystone or any of these other businesses, even if they're not the products that are being pulled behind my truck, just because I've seen them and I've met the people. Even Bram, to speak on that, I introduced Bram and Docket, Keystone and Docket, last year. I made like a text introduction to them, and they ended up becoming the keynote sponsor for Docket User Summit. And it's like I've never bought anything from Keystone, but Bram knows who I am, and when I show up in the room, he walks over and goes, "Hey, really
Hello.
appreciate you make that introduction. I really appreciate all the support you've given." And it's like I can contribute to making their business better even without spending a dollar because I can make the introduction, I can give the compliment, I can give the shout out, and
Sometimes people are looking for stuff that's local to them. They're just like,
sure.
hey, I'm not interested in
Well,
shipping. Who's the closest in this or whatever?
even if you got to do short-term shipping, it's incredible how much shipping cost changes whether you're 2 hours away or 20 hours away. And it's like, I have no problem at all. I would love to buy a Mac dumpster or a Keystone dumpster, but sometimes the price just makes more sense to get it locally.
Agreed.
Um, so I stick a little closer to my network here. And, there's no problem at all with that. If you're a guy that lives in Wisconsin, I'm going to probably introduce you to Evolution, but I'll also let you know, like, hey, Mac's a lot closer. Like, logistically speaking,
Who
you know,
does Tim runs all EWF dumpsters, right?
Tim's got a little variety pack. He had some
What
before
about
EWF, and
Jaden? What's he running?
honestly don't know. I would guess he's probably Mac, just
Probably
based
Mac, based on
yeah,
geography.
based on geography.
So
Yeah.
adding on to that, relationships with vendors who aren't even your vendors. Let's think back to after the last event when a handful of us went out for supper and drinks and ultimately cigars, and the whole EWF crew showed up, or half of them maybe.
Yeah.
So
The men.
yeah, here I am as not a customer of Docket, not a customer of EWF, and you've got Jaden and Tim and several other people that went out with us. Um, just like there was no sales pitch. There was no like, hey, how can we get you? How can we convince you? How can we get you on our team? It was just like, hey, we're all here at the same time for the same reason. Uh, Want to grab some street tacos? Want to grab some drinks? Hey, there's a cigar bar right here. Just a good time, hanging out,
Well,
networking, talking.
I also make it very clear with people. Ooh, excuse me. I make it very clear with people on the front end where, because of what I do with being as socially present as I am, I put out a lot of content. YouTube, I've been slacking on, although I'm coming back into that realm. But I don't like to consider myself an influencer, but I am, on the influencer spectrum of the dumpster space.
You're on the spectrum for sure, but you're influential.
Yeah, sure. Well, I put my experiences out in front of people and let them make informed decisions. But
Good, bad, and ugly.
yeah, one of the big things that I've made very clear, I've got a partnership with Docket, I've got a thing going with Evolution. I make it very clear, like, I am not going to only praise you. I am going to talk the good and the bad. I am going to invite your competitors to my events. I am going to say nice things about them if they do good things. And if you want to be number one, do the best work and make the industry better by having you in it, because I am here for the consumer at the end of the day. And I might not go out of my way to bash someone when they drop the ball a little bit. I'll probably try and handle it a little more behind the scenes, but I am watching. It's like I get a lot of feedback from guys, even if I don't refer them, but they know. It's like
Yeah.
there's people that'll reach out and be like, hey, I signed up
Disappointed in
I
this.
signed up for Docket and I don't like how this works or that works. And a lot of times it's more user error than product issue. But there are times where they drop the ball, and I have made phone calls where it's like, hey, I think that you guys could have done better in this category, and this person who I know and like is a little bit disappointed. Like, I want you to make it right. And most of the time, they're already 10 steps ahead of me, figuring out a way to do it. I'll speak to Evolution quickly on that one. A gentleman had purchased a trailer from Evolution, uh, not any bins, just a trailer. And during his lead time, it was supposed to be, I can't remember. Let's just say 6 weeks. I don't remember exactly what it was. During his lead time, their main builder had some medical issues, or someone in his family had some medical issues, had to take a week or two off. So everything got kind of dragged out. It went a little bit longer than it was supposed to. And the guy had taken financing on it. So his first payment was coming up, and he didn't have the trailer yet. And he calls me up. He goes, hey, you don't really know me, but I do follow your content. I kind of took your advice. I went and bought an Evolution trailer. I'm a little disappointed. It was supposed to be done by this point. Now here I am making payments on a thing. So I was
There's
like,
revenue with it.
yeah, I was like, well, give me just a second. Let me find out what's going on. So I called up Junior, and he's like, yeah, we're familiar with it. He explained to me the whole, guy's out on sick leave and was having some issues, but they were bringing in his brother or cousin. He was going to help, on the trailer side, not on the bin side, because he's one of their head dumpster welders. He's going to help out on the trailer side, try to get that pumped out. He's like, but I already told him, we'll give him a refund of some amount of money, like a substantial amount. And
Cover that cost.
yeah, and to me, like, me being kind of the guy in the middle that can see both sides, I was like, well, did you, are you planning on like reducing the amount financed or applying it toward his financing? He's like, yeah, we'll do whatever it takes. And I was like, well, how about this? Rather than apply it to his financing, can you just cut the payment for his first payment, or can you cut him a check so he doesn't have that payment? Because that, like,
Right.
from my conversation, that's the issue, is I don't want to come out of pocket to not have my asset already in and I'm making my payment on it. And he goes, I'll send him an ACH payment tomorrow, and I relayed that to him. Now 2 weeks later, whatever it was, when he actually took delivery of it, now he's the happiest person on the planet, loves his trailer, makes a bunch of content around it, loves EWF. It's like those little things where he was even going to resolve the issue before I got involved, but I just happened to be the guy that could see like the bigger picture of, this is the bigger issue. and we got to the bottom of it. We got it resolved, and life is great. So I love those kind of stories. I like knowing that people are taken care of. I like knowing that when a problem arises, it gets handled. And I've I've seen plenty of things where the consumer just flat out sucks. As simple as I could put it. And you're never going to see the 100 people that are really happy. You're going to see the one person that's really unhappy. And there's always people out there that have very unrealistic expectations and thinks that the world needs to bow down to them. And, that's not to say that no one can
Piece
do
of
wrong.
advice. Same with our customers.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's like when I have issues, even if something is not my fault, like I had one of like three or four batches of dumpsters. Two of the cans didn't have front feet, and they're supposed to have front feet. And it's like I could raise hell about it, but they're also very gracious and they do a lot of things to help me out. I'm not going to make a big stink out of it. It was like, hey, what would you like me to do? And I just don't even worry about it. Let's just make sure we get it right on the next one. Little stuff like that. But other than that, I've had a great experience.
Did you get your TP sold?
Now, you want to buy it? I
I
am.
get flamed in the comments anytime I say anything negative about TP.
Yeah.
And
Who's flaming you? They seem to be the company a lot of people love to hate, to be honest.
so I'm not putting any names out there.
Fair enough.
But
Say
people take offense to when I encourage someone to steer clear of TP and ask, "Have you ever owned a TP?" Da 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 da. And I'm like, "Well, no, but you also have to realize I come from the trailer rental business first before dumpster rental, so very familiar and in touch with the trailer industry as a whole, the different manufacturers, the reputations, and I'm in a bunch of other trailer groups that dumpster guys may not also be in. And what's funny is after I went to the first Lone Star and met several of y'all, um, some YouTube bros, some normal, regular peasants such as myself, um, I started seeing some of y'all who I had met and talked to about trailers start popping up in some of the trailer rental groups too. And I'm like, hey, there he is. He's coming to this side now. And then, I mean, you got to look at what Josh has done in Texas. He's now doing trailer sales too. So when you're the number one takeaway piece of advice that I took from any dumpster event was almost the unanimous decision to, if you're trying to get into this game, start on a trailer. And I heeded that advice, and I'm grateful for it. Um, I'm going to call him an acquaintance as an inside joke, but one of my local dumpster buddies, we both now run very similar trucks. I'm a Pete, he's a Freightliner, but we've got the exact same hoist on each of our trucks. Our cans come from two different manufacturers, but most all of our specs are the same, so that he can carry my cans and I can carry his cans. He started with a Cougar trailer, and he ran a Cougar trailer for 3 years, I think. And then I got a Cougar trailer, so anyway, but he says I'm copying him, but then I got the truck, and then he copied me, so whatever. So I lost tangent.
people coming to your side of the trailers and the Facebook groups.
Yeah,
And
with just trailers generally. I mean, my buddy Ryan, I don't even want to imagine to know how many trailers he's owned in his lifetime. So he's a dumpster guy, but he has a wealth of information about trailers generally. So transitioning from trailers into running a gooseneck or a bumper pool dumpster trailer is definitely the move, because I'll tell you this, without months and months and months or years and years and years of revenue under your belt, I can't imagine trying to jump straight into this game in a straight truck.
well, it's very hard to understand and predict what life is going to look like as you go, and you never know. We're in a very volatile country as a whole, and the economy could go up, it could go down. You kind of never know what's right around the corner. So, committing to a $200,000 truck purchase and trying to run a
A tough pill
business.
to swallow.
Yeah, well, trying to run a business on financing in general is difficult. In an
We've talked a
ideal
little bit about that.
scenario, having paid everything in cash, that would make it a lot more easy to stomach. But when you know
Make
for
Dave
sure,
Ramsey happy.
yeah, well, trying starting the first of every month with $3,000 of bills versus $15,000 of bills is a very different thing. And
I've experienced both
yeah,
just within the last 6 months. Yes.
for sure. So yeah, I think in general, starting on a trailer is a good move. It is, I'm sure, very nice to jump into the truck, as I will one day probably be very happy with. But as of right now, I'm still quite happy and efficient in my trailers. It is a little more difficult for me in the driver category, so that part also fun to
The
stomach. But
employee, yeah, the
well,
employee aspect
but
is
the
definitely.
flip side of that is now you also, when you train a driver, have to trust them in a $200,000 piece of equipment that weighs twice as much.
Well, I won't put too much out there, um, but my highest probability of my first driver will be coming more likely than not from the agency that nobody driving a dump truck, a straight truck, roll off truck ever wants to see out on the road. So, knowing safety regulations, compliance, and things like that will already be in place.
Sure. Yeah,
So, making smart
that
choices.
yeah, say that's good from a reliability and trust and making sure it's done right the first time kind of standpoint. So that's exciting. Yeah, I hope that works itself out sooner rather than later. I know when we
I
were
don't think we've talked
talking.
about that.
Well, you touched on it a couple months ago, maybe,
Okay.
and it wasn't very deep conversation. It was very surface level. But the funny part is, prior to that conversation, you were talking about hiring someone to do admin and secretarial type stuff, and I think I pushed you a little bit in the like, get yourself out of the truck rather than committing to you being maximum in the truck.
You, Nick, and Zach from Hypertech,
Yeah.
and another buddy of ours that's from a completely different industry, all were like, That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Don't,
Well,
don't do that."
I mean, if you were going to do that route where you stay in the truck, you can hire a virtual assistant rather than someone committed to like full-time payroll and manage a lot. But really at the end of
Who's
the
going to
day,
who's going to enter all these scale tickets for me?
really at the end of the day, getting yourself in the position where you grow the business, work on the business, not work in the business, is ideal. I am spending so many more hours in a truck than I should be, especially with, because I have much bigger goals than just dropping off and picking up dumpsters. I'm doing a lot of things on social media. I'm doing a lot of stuff for community networking. I'm doing a lot of stuff for the events. I'm a T-ball coach. I'm raising three boys. It's like, the more time I'm in a truck, the more I'm neglecting all those other things that are like, the front end of the business is important, but all those other things are far more important. And I could put someone in the driver's seat to move the truck around. So
That's a
uh,
very good point that you bring up from, I think, one of many of our favorite authors and books, Michael Gerber, The E Myth Revisited. If anyone watching hasn't read or listened to that audiobook yet, got to do it because it's exactly what Joe's talking about.
for sure. Well, we are pushing past an hour now, so I don't know if you have anything you want to end on or you want to get out.
No, is it? You got anything else on the list of topic discussion points or anything that we didn't cover?
Honestly, we didn't really even go through the list of things. This was all just kind of free flow. So,
Cuff.
yep, it was
Any,
great
any,
seeing you, my friend. I appreciate having you on here. Look forward to seeing you down in Tampa. If you are watching this podcast through to the end, thank you very much. And we will have, likely by the time you are seeing this, but if not within the coming days or weeks, have ticket sales live for the next Tampa Dumpster Runners event. I will let you know now. First public announcement. It is going to be March 13th, 14th, and 15th. 3 days of awesome. Really great. Huge venue, indoor, outdoor. Give me the credit card. All right, let's go. Um, Go get a ticket. It's in our school community. Join the Dumpster Runners Network group in our school community. Chase, if someone wants to get a hold of you, both for some advice and or to rent a dumpster because they are geographically close to you, how can they get a hold of you?
I'm on all socials under at River Region Rentals LLC. Website's www.riverregion.org. Rentals. Phone number is 706-622-3763.
Very cool. I appreciate you being on, brother.
Thanks, brother.
All right. You have a good one.
You too. Bye.